I'm Emily and welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you're just joining for the first time, welcome. I am so glad you're here. If you follow me over on Instagram at Emily H. Mudd, I'll leave a link down below. You may have seen in a post recently that I finally got rid of my death pile. And for those of you that don't know, in the reselling world, a death pile is just simply what it sounds like, a big pile of clothes and shoes and accessories that are waiting to be listed and you have not listed wherever you're selling inventory. I want to start by saying this was not an easy process to get rid of my death pile. I've had one honestly for probably like 11 months. I did clear it out at the end of last year. I took like a week of vacation off my day job over Christmas break to get rid of it actually. But since then it has started developing again and I realized I really needed to work on getting rid of it. And so there were a lot of early mornings and late nights and work during lunch, and I did skip some fun events to work on this because it was really stressing me out to have a death pile and have all that inventory just sitting there. I'm a very organized person, if you can't tell yet, and it really does, for me personally, it's not the same for everybody else, but it really does cause a level of stress in my business that I think is unnecessary. And so I really realized that I had to get rid of it in order to focus on other things in 2019. So today I wanted to share my top 5 tips to get rid of your death pile, what I've learned. Maybe you've heard these before, maybe you haven't, but I did think it would be valuable to go ahead and share how I did it. Tip number 1. Instead of putting all these clothes and shoes and accessories in a big laundry bin or in a big pile where you can't really visualize it, hang up or lay out all of the items that you have so you can visualize how many items you have to list. And I know that sounds really simple, but it has made just a huge difference for me. I have a clothing rack that I bought off of Amazon, and I'll link that down below in the description. But that, with some velvet hangers, I go ahead and hang everything on the hangers when I get back from a thrift store or a consignment store or wherever I'm shopping, and it helps me visualize how much I have to list, and then I can set goals based on that. So let's say I have 30 items, for example. I can say, okay, in my schedule I have enough time to list 5 items a day. So that will take me 6 days to get through my death pile, and it just really helps you be more visual about it and obviously set a goal to go ahead and get there. Number 2 is to set a dollar amount that you want to make on each item that you find wherever you're sourcing. And this could be really different for everybody, so keep in mind, in my area, I'm usually shopping at regular thrift stores. I do not have a Goodwill outlet or consignment stores. So what I decided on is I want to make a sale price of $30 per item when I pick something up at the thrift store. And so that's not profit, but that's the sale price. And the reason I picked that rather than a lower price is sometimes, and I don't know if you guys do this, but sometimes I kind of overestimate how much I will make on an item because I get just really excited when I'm sourcing. So I stuck with that $30 amount in order to kind of guide my purchasing decisions and get the right level of inventory for me. Now it could be any dollar amount depending on where you're getting your inventory. Maybe you're getting it for free and you're willing to sell things for $10. But the thing is, if you want to get rid of your death pile, you have to decide what your time is worth, because it is going to take a lot of time to list those things and put time into those things to get them up on whatever selling site you are selling on, whether that's Poshmark or eBay. And go ahead and make that decision before you go to the thrift store so that when you get really excited about what you're finding, you can make an educated decision about what to pick up. This particular tip was probably one of the best decisions that I made because it really helped me pick out inventory that I was excited about again, and I didn't dread listing it quite as much because I knew it was items that for sure I could make $30 or more on. Of course, sometimes I could have overestimated a bit, but in general, it has stuck around $30 or more with these new items that I've been picking up after I made this rule. Number 3 is to use batch processes for listing to increase your efficiency. So I want to make a whole video about this maybe over Christmas break because I think it will take me a while to film, but But essentially what you do is you take a group of items, let's say a group of similar items like shirts, and you do each of the listing tasks at once on that group of items. So you photograph, let's say it's 10 items. You photograph those 10 items at once. You measure them all at once. You steam them all at once. And then you're not bumping around from task to task and multitasking, which I don't know about you, but it doesn't work very well for me in order to get things listed. You're being very proactive with how you're listing. You're doing one thing at one time and you can really focus on that, like photographing, for example. And it has just really increased my efficiency. And I think that's just a great way if you don't have a lot of time to be more effective with it, or maybe you just want to be focusing on other things and so you go ahead and get those things out of the way. Another thing about that is it really increases your sense of accomplishment because let's say you want to photograph 100 items. You get all of that done and you feel really accomplished at the end of that time instead of jumping around from task to task and not really feeling like you got much done. That was a thing that I didn't really think would happen with batch listing, but it has really given me a sense of accomplishment that I didn't expect. Number 4, and I know this is hard, don't pick things up that you're not excited to list unless they're a really high dollar value. So an example of something that sat in my death pile for a long time was button-up shirts, similar to like the one I'm wearing right now, because I don't like dealing with a bunch of buttons and unbuttoning and rebuttoning when I'm listing items. And so I really just kind of stuck those to the bottom of my death pile and had a lot of trouble listing them. I know that sounds silly, but I'm aware of that now and I'm conscious of that, and I'm only gonna pick up things that are a really high dollar value if they're that button up style or whatever it is for you. An example of something that I feel is really high value that is a button-up shirt, so that's something I don't like to list, that I went ahead and picked up recently is actually a Prada shirt. I feel like that is definitely worth my time, and even though I don't like listing button-up shirts, it does have a really high value, and so I went ahead and picked it up. So just know those areas. I think it's on the flip side of that, it's also important to know the areas of things you really like to list. One of those for me is shoes. I just love listing shoes. Last month, I think I did about 60% of my profit in shoes. And so I'm really aware of that, and I pick up a lot of shoes. I like wearing them myself too, so it makes it easy to list, and they're never in my death pile because I just really enjoy listing those. Number 5, and I think this one is so important, have an accountability partner or some sort of accountability when you're listing in order to keep you accountable for what you say you're going to list. So this may sound kind of silly to you, but essentially what's worked for me is actually the hauls I've been doing on YouTube. Usually I'll say, like, sometime during the video, I'll have all this listed on Poshmark before I post this video. And that's really helped me hold me accountable a little bit more to going ahead and listing those things, because I know when you view that video or when you watch that video, there may be something you want, and if it's not listed in my Poshmark closet, you won't see it, and obviously it won't sell. So accountability is huge. I'm not saying you have to have a YouTube channel. Potentially you just have an accountability partner in your area. I know Empty Hanger Jenna, she talks a lot about how she has an accountability partner. Her name's Alyssa, and they work together to set goals. And I think that's important in all aspects of business. But if you're really struggling with listing, find an accountability partner. You could do it over the phone or online or in person, but that accountability is just so important. For me, it's been making these hauls. I don't know why that really holds me accountable, but that's been like the thing that I found that's worked best for me so far. And so I'm gonna try to stick with that and just keep myself accountable, because I don't want to have a death pile again. That's it for my 5 tips. I wanted to go like this, but then that's 10. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. I will really say, for me, like a personal testimony, this has really helped me feel less stressed, like I said before, but I think it's also transformed my business because it allows me time to focus on other things besides just listing all the time. And I think that's important so we can like brainstorm what we want to do in our business and dream bigger things. If we're just in the weeds all the time, it's really hard to like get up and look and see what we need to do better, to make our business better, and just to be happier in general. So I'm really happy not to have one anymore. I hope I can come on here in another year and say I still don't have a death pile. What I'm trying to do is if I buy anything, I try to list it in the same day. I think eventually it'll be like listed in the same week. But right now I'm trying to keep things listed in the same day and continuing to be really picky. Obviously, I'm a part-time reseller. I do not rely on reselling as my full-time income. So if you're full-time, you may need to consider something different, but it just has made such a difference for me. So if you have any questions or other tips that you want to leave them in the comments down below, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.